Alaska has been beckoning to us for years. The allure of its massive expanses of public lands, boreal forests and high mountain peaks, glaciers and frozen tundra, literally millions of lakes, all inhabited by a stunning variety of wildlife. A land that is now reasonably accessible, but somehow still truly wild. A land that will make you feel small and insignificant in the best way possible. I could recite all the facts and figures for you, but this place is so much more than that. If your focus is numbers or to simply tick off a list of locations, that's fine. We'll be doing some of that as well. But overall, you're missing out. Focus on the land, the wildlife, and the history. The thousands of years of human occupation, living so closely with and at the mercy of Mother Nature, and eventually a new government forcing in a new way of life. If you have the opportunity to become even a brief part of that history, savor it and respect it. Places and trips like this have the ability to touch you, to change you, and you will be better for it. So join us today as we embark on this journey through the wild and beautiful landscapes of the last frontier. From our home here in Oregon, we'll travel through BC to join up with the historic Alcan Highway, drive through the Yukon territory, and into the heart of Alaska. So get ready for breathtaking views and unforgettable experiences as we travel through some of the most remote and beautiful parts of North America. The true scale between points on a map are soon to become a stark reality. And we will find out if months of preparation were truly enough to tackle a 7,000-mile road trip in a 20-year-old SUV. Will our GMC Yukon Denali be able to live up to its iconic namesakes? Be sure to subscribe because you won't want to miss an episode. But now it's time for you to come along for the ride. One of the best parts of any trip is simply rolling out of the driveway. Here, the anticipation is at its highest, with all the experiences to come still unknown. 17 days may as well be 17 years. There are no thoughts yet of that long drive home. There's also an underlying bit of anxiety that builds on that excitement. The questions: did we forget anything? Will we have any mechanical problems? Will the routes pan out? There's a sense of relief that all the preparation and planning are done and that the plan is finally being executed. And while we are not forging any new paths into the unknown, it is all new and unknown and special to us. New roads, new countries, and new vistas await. At least after a few hours of our all too well-known Interstate 5 before we hit the Canadian border. Alright guys, so we are officially on the road north. The only problem is that's North I-5 in standstill traffic, so let's hope that changes soon. And well, the traffic never really did get any better until we got off the freeway in Sumas, Washington, where our border crossing into Canada was. And here we would have our first experience with how stern and unemotional the Canadian border agents really could be. Hi. Yes, sir.
How many people in the vehicle?
2.
Where do you live?
Oregon.
Everything in the vehicle belongs to the two of you?
Yes, sir. And while it was by no means a bad experience, it was simply in contrast to what we'd experience on both of the U.S. border crossings later on in the journey. And once we were through and into Canada, we still had about 250 miles to go before our first planned stop at a rest area just south of Catch Creek in BC. Alright guys, so this is it, our first camp of the trip. An amazingly beautiful rest area. So it took longer than planned to get out of Oregon, and then there was construction we had to wait for up here in BC, so we got here a couple hours later than I was hoping for, but we made the whole distance I was hoping for, so we put in about 500 miles yesterday afternoon and last night. And so we are here just south of Catch Creek, BC. And today is our long day. We'll be putting in about twice the mileage, about 1,000 miles today. And we'll be right up near the Yukon border territory by the time we camp tonight. So here we are. That's the plan. We'll take you along for the ride.
How you feeling to start day 2?
Yay!
Continue on Highway 1.
Despite having an absolutely massive mileage goal for the day's drive, we did afford ourselves a few stops and enjoyed the very smoky BC scenery on the way to Dawson Creek.
Alright. So it only took driving pretty much nonstop since Friday afternoon to get to mile 0. So now the real part of it begins.
Woo! Ready?
Yep.
Energized by finally reaching a major milestone in our journey, we gamely continued on throughout the day, enjoying the sights that BC had to offer. As day transitioned to evening, and evening into night, we began to realize that our mileage goal, or my mileage goal, probably wasn't realistic. As the evening animals came out to play, and my reflexes slowed, I decided to call it about 80 miles earlier than what I had planned. But, as always, much better safe than sorry. Well, believe it or not, this is the light at 3:45 a.m. So we had to stop a little earlier than planned. Last night, my planned distance was just a little too great, so we stopped just past Laird River, which is that way. So we're getting up early so we can make up the difference here this morning and keep on trucking on. So super beautiful spot, nice and quiet. Lots of birds. Saw plenty of wildlife last night. So it was a pretty fun drive, even in the dark and with some rain. So we're gonna get packed up, as little as that entails, and we'll see you on the road. In the first half of the day, the Yukon Territory absolutely put on a show for us. And that was much appreciated, because by the second half of the day, the roads would begin to beat those good memories right out of us. Thankfully, Dawson City wasn't that much farther out, and it was a much welcome reprieve from the road. This remote outpost, situated at the confluence of the Klondike and Yukon rivers, played a pivotal role in the gold rush of the late 19th century. It was during that time that Jack London penned his iconic short story, To Build a Fire, a tale of survival in the harsh wilderness of the Yukon. In the story, the unnamed protagonist struggles to stay alive in the bitter cold, relying solely on his ability to start a fire to keep him alive. Today, Dawson City itself represents that same life-giving fire. Its rugged, pioneering spirit continues to burn bright, attracting adventurers and travelers from all over the world. The town is the gateway to the pristine wilderness of the Yukon Territory and Alaska beyond, offering a chance to experience the majesty of the natural world in all of its raw, untamed beauty. But even after traveling for 2,100 miles just to get to this point, our time in Dawson will only be a brief respite before continuing on. But nevertheless, a journey and locations like this compel us to take the time to remember the past and the power of the human spirit to attempt to overcome the most challenging of circumstances, just like the man in Jack London's classic story. If you don't know how the story goes, I highly recommend that you give it a read. But since we are traveling in summer, I expect our fate to be much more favorable. Now, sometimes that human spirit we talked about earlier, in fact, does not overcome certain circumstances. And sometimes, in those situations, that human spirit must give up at least a part of its physical self. Like, say, a toe that has fallen victim to frostbite. Over the last 50 years, it is said that over 25 such toes have been donated to the Sourtoe Saloon. And if you have the courage, you can join the club, established in 1973 by Captain Dick Stevenson, originally using a toe preserved from the 1920s, by knocking back a shot of Yukon Jack, fortified with a severed, mummified human toe. While the club may no longer be small, it still feels pretty special to be part of such a unique group of freaks, willing to bounce a severed toe off their lips in the name of proving themselves true Yukoners.
Certainly not three tonsils. Cheers, Adrian. Salute. Beautiful. Nicely done. All right. Here you go. Welcome to the Sourtoe Club. Official member. 50 years. Just right here. Are we all ready? Okay. You can drink it fast, you can drink it slow, but your lips must touch this nasty toe. Not your teeth, not your tongue, and certainly not your tonsils. Cheers, Nicole. Salute. There you go. Easy peasy. Welcome to the Sourtoe Club.
And with the ritual behind us, we were all too ready to settle in for a great night's sleep in a real bed. And while Dawson City is a destination in itself, it is just the beginning of our adventures. Next, we will continue into Alaska to explore the Kenai Peninsula before heading again north to Anchorage and Eagle River. With so much natural beauty and history to come, I would encourage you to subscribe so you don't miss a moment. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you again for the next episode.